Good evening, friends. Today's story is from a young lady named Gu Xiao Xiao. She provided it to us. Xiao Xiao's story. She said the first incident happened when she was 5 or 6 years old. One winter when she was 5 or 6. One day, Xiao Xiao was fine at home. Suddenly, she got a fever for some reason. The fever came on very suddenly, but it wasn't particularly serious. Since Xiao Xiao's family didn't have medicine prepared, her mother had no choice that night. She had to take her to the village clinic to see a doctor. It was past 9 p.m. when Xiao Xiao got the fever, so she got sick. So her mother took her out, and it was already close to 10 p.m. Also, this clinic wasn't even in their village. The clinic was outside the village, so the walk was very long, and they had to walk through several very small, very narrow alleys. Also, when Xiao Xiao was little, she often heard her grandma say that she should try to avoid the alleys east of the village. According to legends from years ago, those alleys were haunted. But that night, there was no choice. Xiao Xiao was sick and uncomfortable, so her mother had to take her, stealing her nerves, to the clinic. Just as they reached the second dark alley, Xiao Xiao had just followed her mother into the alley. She saw a crowd of people on the alley wall from a distance. There were people of all ages. Some were old, some were young, some were men, some were women. There were old men and old women, and also some young men. They were just swaying back and forth on the wall. At that time, they seemed to be lined up in a long row, imprinted on the wall. At first, Xiao thought someone had drawn a picture on the wall, so she looked closely. But it wasn't. After looking for 2 or 3 seconds, she realized that all the people on the wall were moving. The scariest part was, there was a young man inside, about 20-something years old, smiling at Xiao Xiao. Also, next to this man, stood a short little girl. This little girl was waving at Xiao Xiao. Because her mother was holding Xiao Xiao at the time, and Xiao Xiao was on her mother's shoulder. After a short while, she said to her mother, "Mom, let's leave quickly. Let's go." Her mother asked her, "What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" Xiao Xiao said, "There's a big group of people on the wall." As soon as Xiao Xiao said this, don't forget, her mother was also a woman. She also got scared. "Oh, darling, I don't scare me. Are you delirious from the fever? Let's go. Let's go." Then, next, Xiao Xiao's mother, holding Xiao Xiao, ran outside. After they ran out, they soon arrived at the clinic. Little mother told the doctor about the child's condition. While speaking, the doctor examined Xiao Xiao. His mother told him about the people in the alley who could move. She explained it to the doctor. The doctor then told Xiao Xiao's mother that the child wasn't seriously ill. It was just a cold. Next time, you can just buy medicine yourself, especially since he has a fever. And don't forget the courtyard behind the east wall. You can't go there. That place is very strange. This is like you're deliberately putting the child in danger. It's like running into a wall with the child. Xiao Xiao's mother didn't understand. "What did I do? I just brought him to see the doctor." The doctor then told Xiao Xiao and his mother, in front of Xiao Xiao, when a child has a fever, their appetite is low, and they feel unwell. At this time, taking the child out during the day is also dangerous. You insisted on taking him that way at night. As a parent, aren't you being irresponsible? Okay, Xiao Xiao, we've finished this first story. He has a second one. His stories are short, but they're quite interesting when put together. The second one I am telling you is Xiao Xiao's second story, he said his cousin told him. He said when he grew up, he had a very close cousin. They could talk about anything, like best friends. Then one day, I was at home. Suddenly, my cousin called me. At that time, my cousin and I weren't in the same city. She was elsewhere. When I answered the phone, my cousin was crying. So I asked her, "Sister, what's wrong?" My cousin told me she was scared and had encountered something strange. Because Xiao Xiao had experienced something similar when he was young, he immediately calmed down. He asked his cousin, "Cousin, what exactly happened?" Unexpectedly, the story his cousin told him next was even scarier than what he experienced as a child. What the cousin told him happened on the evening she called him. It was around 8 p.m. The cousin took a taxi alone from the pedestrian street of the city where she worked to her rented apartment. When the taxi driver stopped at the entrance, the cousin, being a bit careless, said, "Driver, it's hard to drive in there. Don't go in." Actually, she should have asked the driver to take her into the complex, but she didn't. So, a young girl getting out of a taxi near 9 p.m. at the entrance of a residential area. And you might think it's normal, but let me tell you, her complex is in the suburbs. It's very desolate around there. She shouldn't have done that. After my cousin got out of the car, she realized that no one was around. Immediately, goosebumps started to rise all over her. She got scared and regretted it. But by then, the taxi driver had already left. My cousin quickly sidled over to the side of the road. After sidling over, she intended to enter the complex through a small gate, but she hadn't taken 10 steps forward when suddenly a red car sped up behind my cousin. This car looked a bit like a getaway car. It suddenly swerved from my cousin's side and blocked her. My cousin was startled. "Oh no!" But the car hadn't hit her yet. My cousin immediately began to move away. The further from the car, the better. She quickly ran towards the complex gate. But if you're leaving, just leave. I don't look back. But people are curious, and my cousin is no exception. After reaching the complex gate, my cousin looked back. And when she looked, it nearly scared her to death. My cousin said the car was made of paper. That it was very obvious. The entire car was made of paper. But it was finely crafted. If you just glance at it, you wouldn't notice. But if you look closely, the entire car was definitely made of paper. And that wasn't the scariest part. The scariest part was after the car stopped, its doors opened, and people came out. And the people who got out were only about 40 to 50 centimeters tall. But even though they were small, they had complete facial features. Clearly, some looked old, and some looked young. They were just like normal people, but forcibly shrunk. And at this point, I also noticed there wasn't just one of these little figures in the car. There were over a dozen who got out. After seeing this, my cousin was stunned. Her whole body went numb. She basically lost all self-control. She was terrified, so she bolted into the complex. After running for a few minutes, my cousin finally got home. Fortunately, when she got upstairs, there was a man standing downstairs. And this man was quite old and had a kind face, so that's why my cousin wasn't scared. Otherwise, while taking the elevator, she would have been scared to death. But let's not forget, this entire ordeal was told by my cousin to our younger cousin. The younger cousin said, listening to her, I got goosebumps all over. I really admire my cousin. After just going through that, she told me the story so animatedly. I asked her, "Aren't you scared being home alone?" Guess what my cousin told me? "What's the point of being scared? I have nowhere to go right now." Then let's quickly listen to the next one. This story we have was provided by a listener named Zhangxi. The story he told is related to when he was young and paid respects to his ancestors. He went to visit their graves. This incident dates back to when he was very young. He said that one year, "I went with my mom and dad back to our hometown in Ziyang City, Sichuan. We went to our old home. Basically, we were going to pay respects to our ancestors at their graves. But at that time, I was only about 10 years old. When my family was paying respects, they didn't insist that I participate. So I went up the mountain alone. I went up the mountain. Plus, I had never been to the countryside before, so I was curious about everything. I picked up a small wooden stick and started playing around. With the small stick in my hand, I started digging in the grass. I was digging in the grass. After a while, I found all sorts of insects in the grass. Many of them I had never seen before, so I became curious about them. Then my mom called out to me, "Don't go over there, stay here." Actually, what my mom meant was for me to play here while they went ahead to pay respects to the ancestors. I, foolishly, continued to dig around with my little stick. After digging, I saw a very large grasshopper. This grasshopper, it was all green and extremely large, but it jumped very high and moved very fast. I couldn't catch it. At that moment, I really wanted to catch this grasshopper, so I chased it with all my might. While chasing it, I wasn't paying attention to my surroundings. As a result, I chased it several meters away. After that, I didn't even know where I had walked to. When I finally looked up again, I had already chased it to a small grove by the mountainside. This small grove, it wasn't like a large forest. They were small fruit trees, the kind that farmers plant. At that time, I could still see my mom and them from a distance, so I didn't think much of it. I continued to chase this thing. Then the grasshopper, it went whoosh and flew very high. It flew to the top of a tree. It flew extremely high. At that time, with the small stick in my hand, I couldn't reach it. I was anxious, so I started looking around, searching. Then I saw a longer stick in front of me. I wanted to pick up that stick and hit it. But just as I bent down and picked up the stick, everything around me had changed. How can I describe how the environment changed? It felt like just a moment ago, it was all green trees. It felt like just a moment ago, it was all green trees. Now, when I looked up again, all around me were withered trees. And looking into the distance, my parents' group disappeared. And now I am holding this long stick. I looked at the grasshopper in the sky, but then I looked again. The grasshopper hanging on the treetop is also gone. Even the grasshopper that just jumped up onto that big tree can't be found. I immediately panicked. Then I started searching. Where am I? What's going on? What place is this? Then, when I was anxious, I saw an old man coming out ahead. This old man, I only saw his back from a great distance. I thought he must be a relative of ours. So I ran towards him. Then this old man led me deeper into the dense forest. We went further and further, until I finally couldn't see him at all. At the same time, just then, I suddenly heard a woman's voice, speaking in my ear. I didn't understand what she said, but she was definitely speaking. Though the voice was faint, I could still hear it quite clearly. Snoring, snoring. The sound was similar to this at the time. It was terrifying. I was really scared. I swung the stick around wildly and shouted, "Who's there? Who's there? Who's there?" But no matter how much I shouted, no one answered me. The voice seemed indifferent to me, still lingering in my ears. I couldn't hold back anymore. I opened my mouth wide and burst into tears. Ah, ah, ah. As soon as I cried, I heard my mother calling me from a distance. I immediately looked up in the direction my mother was calling me, but I couldn't see anyone. I could only hear my mother's voice. But at this moment, I couldn't care about anything else. I ran towards my mother with all my might. After running for a short while, everything in front of me, I don't know when, suddenly changed again. It returned to how it was when I first arrived. Green trees, green grass, and in the distance, a group of people were walking forward. I saw this group was my parents. Instantly, I ran towards them, and I grabbed my mother's leg. My mother was stunned at the time. "Hey, what are you doing? Where did you go?" Then I said, I don't know. I got lost. Then my mother was about to scold me. "What's going on? Where did you go?" But as soon as my mother shouted, an uncle next to her interrupted. "No, he was just in the woods. I saw him just now. He was waving a stick around. I don't know what he was doing." My father nodded next to her and said, "Don't talk nonsense. Your mother will scold you later." I finally calmed down. My mom wasn't arguing with me, but I didn't dare speak anymore. I kept following behind them until all the ancestors were worshipped. Everything was taken care of. When we went down the mountain, I quietly ran behind my dad. I asked my mom, "Dad, you really saw me just now, right? Where was I?" My dad finished listening. He glanced sideways. And then what did he say to me? "What just now?" It turns out my dad forgot everything that just happened, so I reminded him again. I said, "Didn't you say you just saw me playing in the woods? I couldn't find you earlier. Could you see me?" My dad finally understood. Then he told me impatiently, "Weren't you just running around in the woods? What did you catch? Let me tell you. Those bugs in the countryside, they bite people. If you catch one, it'll bite a big gash in your hand. I was bitten when I was little. You shouldn't move those things." My dad was still telling me this, meaning he was focused on that. How could I care about bugs? I just encountered something strange. Episode 2, Summertime. And because my dad was quite lenient with me as a child, unlike my mom who was stricter, I told my dad about what had just happened. I told him everything. But unexpectedly, after I finished speaking, my dad got angry with me too. My dad's face tightened. And he told me, "Let me tell you, this is a village, not our home. You're running around here foolishly. Anything can happen. From today on, you're not allowed to leave your mother's side." When I heard this, it was over. Even my dad didn't want me anymore. He was a story. This guy's telling. He said it happened when I was in school. When I was in school, one day, something suddenly happened at school. This strange thing almost made me unable to continue at this school. Even my parents were considering transferring me at the time, but these were just ideas. Transferring schools isn't that simple. In the end, I stayed at this school, but several classmates in my class, their parents specially visited the school and clearly stated their attitude to the school. "Our children will absolutely not attend your so-called outdoor PE classes." Okay, that's essentially the gist of it. I'll give you a vague description, and then I'll tell you the details. This vague description will be followed by the detailed account. Nayar's story. We need to talk about his school first. Nayar's school is located in the mountains. It's not a formal school in the city. So, because Nayar's school has a very small playground, usually during PE class, the teacher would take the kids to run on the mountain roads around the school for exercise. That's what they did. Plus, hardly any cars come up there. So it was very safe nearby. Effectively, the surrounding mountain paths became their playground. Nothing happened. The first year of school, everything was normal. But Near said in his second year of high school, one afternoon that year, our teacher took us for PE class. All the classmates were there. Then we formed a long line on a mountain road around our school. Back and forth, running and playing. Then, halfway through, suddenly, a female classmate, about 4 or 5 people ahead of me, crashed to the ground. Immediately, the classmates all gathered around. What happened? What happened? What's wrong? What happened? But at that moment, I saw the female classmate lying on the ground, lying very still. She fell to the ground with a thud, then she twitched twice and closed her eyes, becoming motionless. The teacher rushed over immediately. A bunch of students surrounded her. Someone was pinching her philtrum, performing CPR, pressing her chest, whatever actions they could think of, but after struggling for several minutes, there was no effect. At this point, our PE teacher gave the order, "Hey classmates, something's not right with him. I think his heart is in trouble. Quick, carry him back, take him back to school." The teacher gave the order then. The classmates also stopped the rescue. Immediately, 2 male classmates helped this female student, supporting the other large male student. But as soon as they tried to help him up, this female student hadn't even fully sat up yet. Suddenly, the girl's eyes suddenly snapped open. After her eyes opened, everyone there was startled. The 2 students supporting her stumbled backward. "Hey, for you're awake?" But after asking her, this girl told everyone, Where am I?" My goodness. As soon as this girl opened her mouth, she spoke. All the classmates were stunned. I think you've all realized. The girl's voice had completely changed. It became the rough voice of a 40 or 50-year-old man. At that moment, everyone present, including students and teachers, was shocked. Many people backed away. Even the teacher didn't dare touch her anymore. Then, next, the girl sat on the ground herself and started looking around. She basically scanned all the surrounding classmates. But, finally, she looked up at the teacher and said, You're their teacher, right?" "How did I get here?" She was clearly speaking to the teacher. The teacher was stunned. "No, you, who are you?" "Huh. That classmate. What's his name?" It's normal for a teacher not to know their students' names. It's very normal. Completely normal. The teacher also didn't know what this girl's name was. So she wanted to ask if she was so-and-so. The teacher couldn't find out, because there was no name. So she asked the nearby classmates. A male classmate then stood up and told the teacher, "Teacher, his surname is Sunday. His name is Sunfang." Then the teacher came back to her senses. Are you Sunfang?" But after the teacher asked, the girl sat on the ground and didn't speak. She lowered her head for about 5 or 6 seconds. Then she suddenly looked up again. "I am your granduncle, Sunfang." Oh my God! That shout made all the classmates, and the teacher too, freeze in shock.